Well, welcome once again, everybody, to the Meat and Potato Show, conservative talk and awesome rock. And I am so honored and welcomed to have this great guest here. We are on the cusp of a great event this Friday, the 24th, here in Worcester, Massachusetts. Dr. Dupester is coming into Worcester to speak about Common Core. And I have the great honor of talking to Cathy Sapeta, who works with New York Guardians, who is the New York version of working against Common Core. And she is here to speak on the Meat and Potato Show about the magical um, of Common Core. Catherine Sapeta, thank you so much for coming on to the show. Welcome to the Meat and Potato Show. Cathy, how are you tonight?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm here in the Hudson Valley. I noticed that you have an Air Force hat on, but I have to tell you that I live right across from West Point. So we will look forward to see what those games might be like. Air Force versus Army. That's a very, very popular game in the Hudson Valley, and I do hope that you can come visit us here in the Hudson Valley in New York.
Well, hopefully we can. Hopefully we can. So, Cathy, let's get right into it. Tell us about how New York Guardians got started. Tell us about how you got started with it. Tell us about the work that you're doing to fight Common Core.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to speak with you this evening. We actually are New Yorkers United for Kids, and our website is www.nyunited, the number 4kids.com. We are guardians for our children, and anyone who knows parental rights know that parents are the primary educators of their children. I got involved with this issue. We're not really quite a movement. The civil rights, in the 1960s, that was a movement because everybody knew what was going on, that people were fighting for their rights. But Common Core still is a political issue that is continuing to blossom. It'll blossom into the 2016 presidential election. And one of the roles of our association, which has a reach of over 32,000 New Yorkers through our social media website, as well as our Twitter handle. And if you like to tweet, please follow at CEASE, CEASE, Common Core. We've got 13,000 followers, and we advocate for local control of education. And we also advocate for parental rights. And we also advocate to withdraw New York State from the unconstitutional Common Core state standards. Not one parent, not one teacher, not one legislator was involved in bringing these into New York State. And I got involved because when I went back to school for my master's degree, I started writing on the board these college and career ready, rigorous standards called the Common Core. Now, I have also a business background, and I'm very inquisitive. I love to learn and I love to teach. That's why I went back to school to become a teacher, so I could teach English language learners all the joys of learning that I experienced when I was growing up here in New York State, and to help especially the Hispanic population learn about this beautiful country. My second language is Spanish, and my native language is English. And when I asked my professor what was a Common Core, and I don't really understand what standards are, she said, well, it makes you college and career ready. And I just kind of shrugged my shoulders because it sounded good. But then after I graduated, I decided to do some digging because something didn't sit right with me. And I was quite surprised to find out that the federal government overhauled our entire education system with the funding stream of Bill and Melinda Gates. They used millions and millions of dollars.
Right.
And I had to do a hard stop. So instead of teaching children, I'm teaching New Yorkers and unraveling the Common Core.
So, here we go with Gates, and it turns out Pearson, all this money is being poured into this thing. I had the great pleasure of filming Dr. Duke Pastor last year. And a year of filming and going over this entire thing. It turns out that now Pearson has something like a $7.7 million lawsuit that they have to return to certain states, something that's been going on with that. Do you have any information on that?
I do know that Pearson is heavily invested in the Common Core state standards. I do not follow the legal pieces. I can tell you that here in New York State, that there was a lawsuit and there was a settlement. If you Google it, I believe it was.
Yeah, I put it on my Google and Facebook page. Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So there was definitely a settlement in New York State for some issues that included whether or not some of the things that Pearson did was legal or not. As far as where they're at now, we continue to push back to say we need to get Pearson, out of our classrooms because our children shouldn't be used as Bill Gates' experiment, and we shouldn't trade the welfare and the well-being of our children for dollars. Our children cannot be bought; they're not slaves.
Exactly. And Dr. Lutzik spoke at the Boston Tea Party rally that I filmed about a week or so ago, and she gave a great analogy about how a McDonald's hamburger, it's like that's the product, and she equated that with our children. That's the product that comes out. Whereas, if you buy a hamburger in Maine, it's supposed to be the same hamburger in Alabama. Well, anybody who's ever gone to any McDonald's knows that it's basically put together by a one-armed retarded monkey. Anyway, that's the whole thing that she was equating it with, is that our children are supposed to come out the same one way or the other. But any idiot in America knows, and I'm sorry, this is where meat and potatoes goes off the rails. Any idiot in America knows that a child in Maine grows up with a Maine attitude. A child who grows up in Arkansas grows up with an Arkansas attitude. A child who grows up in Colorado, Washington, Montana, everything is different. Hello, it's called the United States of America. It's called a diversity. Hello, Democrats. It's called the different ways that we are raised across this country. And different children are raised different ways across the entire 3,000-mile ocean to ocean of America. How the hell can you put this testing into one Common Core area where everyone is supposed to be equal? Is this part of the liberal, Democrat, socialist model that these people are trying to develop for our country?
Well, you almost got me started singing A New York State of Mind, because yes, we do have differences. Every child can learn, every child learns differently. What the government is trying to do is to set one standard, and with No Child Left Behind, they were trying to get 100% proficiency, that every child is learning to the same degree the same thing. Now, we all know that every child can learn, but they all have different personalities, they all have different backgrounds. I have 8 nephews, and each and every one of them learn totally different. Even the twins learn differently. But we know what happens when the federal government gets involved with things, and when they try to create standards, we understand they're actually redefining what you and I would know as a standard, because when you try to mandate a standard that every child learns exactly the same thing to the same degree, what happens is that you go to the lowest common denominator. All of our research shows that the children on the bottom get totally lost, and that the next level up from that is the teachers trying to get those people from the lower level up to another level above that. Everybody on top gets lost. Those people are called the hidden failures. So the teacher spends all of his or her time, teaching to the test so she can get as many people up to this level of proficiency. We're really in a very challenged period in education. I believe that shows like yours do a great job, and thank you so much to you, to your staff, and to
My
all the
pleasure.
people who follow your show, because more people do need to understand what's happening to our schools. Schools should be about enlightening a child, but to what you were talking about, Dr. Peg Luksick's analogy, where she compares the kids like McDonald's hamburgers. What they're trying to do is to mandate them and have them all come out the same. But we know every child is different. Every child learns differently. Every child can learn. So when you're trying to set these standards, actually what happens is that you're lowering the standard, so the bar goes down. But yet, as I mentioned to you why I got involved, college and career ready and rigorous. You know, it's like, Dr. Luxick will always say, we are farmers, and what do you think of?
That's right. I filmed that.
Right?
That's right.
You
right,
remember
right,
that?
right.
Believe it or not,
It
Duchess
makes no sense.
I met a man that works for a farmer. I was like, wow, I can't believe I actually met somebody. But I just wanted to give him that example. Anyway, the point being is that when you hear something over and over and over again, your mind starts to think of something. So when we hear college and career ready or rigorous, we start to imagine what that is in our mind. But how many of us really go into what that means?
Well, Helen,
So,
Cathy, if you say a lie enough times, eventually it becomes the truth.
and that's what's so important, again, shows like yours that reach out to people to provide them with facts, with figures, with information, with truth. We need to really peel back the marketing of Common Core. And once you do that, Saint Augustine of Hippo has a great saying, and he would say that the truth is like a lion. Let it loose, and it'll defend itself. So that's what we're doing here in New York. There are a lot of angry moms and dads, grandparents, aunts and uncles who are at the front line working at the school level and at the home level to help their children. And we're looking to build forces around them with taxpayers who definitely will be impacted by Common Core. We don't know how in New York we're going to pay for this. We haven't even gotten those park tests.
Yeah, the money. Okay, let's stop you there. You just said about parents, grandparents, mothers, fathers, everybody going nuts over this thing. Are you seeing that? Are you seeing the groundswell of people saying, oh, hell no? Are you seeing that?
Yes, we will no longer be silent. We have a 62 county resolution campaign where in each of the counties in New York State, we are asking activists to, and we don't care what political party they're in. Our children do not wear political labels. We know that they're being harmed, and whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, a Tea Party, a Libertarian, whatever that is, doesn't matter. We do have a groundswell, and we have the tsunami that is just coming over the edge. The opt-out movement in New York is phenomenal. We're hearing pushback from superintendents who, by the way, they do a really great job representing the state. And then we have organizations and parent PTA groups that are doing a really great job representing the parents. Parents have the right to opt the kids out of these tests, and they're starting to do more fact-finding as to understand what's happening to their children in our schools. It's almost like a Marx Brothers movie. They're giving reading levels that are way beyond the comprehension level of the child, and the difficulty, and the reading interest level, and the vocabulary that they're giving is ridiculous. There was a principal who said that she couldn't answer 25% of these tests. There's actually a blog.
From a principal.
Right. And also, an Ivy Leaguer said that he couldn't get 100 on the exam either. There's a blog that the Washington Post references in one of their articles this week, and it has some of the silly questions that are asked. But it gets to the point that the kids don't know that this is supposed to be a Marx Brothers movie, and parents are being harmed, teachers are being harmed, the students are being harmed, and the taxpayers are being harmed. And then that's a point where this is actually a crime.
Let me stop.
And it's not funny.
Let me stop you there. In that, okay, it's not that the teachers or even adults are that much far removed from as far as what we understand about history and economics and education that is going on today. It is that I've seen some of the questions. I've filmed Dr. Pester. I've been with my own group here in Worcester, Massachusetts, Donna Colorio, the city council here, and the school committee here. The questions are ridiculous. I have a daughter. She's 15. She's in high school. It's nuts. It's insane. I help her with her homework. The questions are inane. They are absolutely ridiculous. And I helped my two sons grow up. I helped them with their homework. And I even said that 10 years ago. I was like, wait a minute. This is not what happened. No, this is wrong. This is not what happened. And even my children would say to me, my daughter says it to me today. It's like, Dad, that's not what the teacher wants to hear. It's like, I don't give a fuck what the teacher wants to hear. Sorry, it's the meat and potato show. I don't. This is what actually happened.
We don't do bleach.
This is what actually happened. This is the thing that actually happened in history. I'm reading the stuff that's going on. It's like, wait a minute, this is not what America intended to do. This is not why we stopped slavery. And I'm scratching my head, and my daughter is going through this. But here's the thing. It's not that you and I know the actual truth and we know our history. It's like I just said a second ago. My daughter comes back to me and says, no, that's not what the teacher wants me to answer. Isn't that the problem?
Well, they're expected to comply with what the standards are. They're expected to comply with what the teacher is teaching them. And I definitely would say, as a parent, you have every right to go into the principal and have a meeting and challenge that. There are cases, I just heard this week, I forget what state it is, but the textbook that the school was using was so inaccurate and inappropriate for the children, they ended up having it removed from the school.
Amazing. Well, this is what I'm talking about. Talking about. Is that, okay, I'm going to say something here.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's my show, so I get to say something.
You say whatever you want.
Listen, I do a lot of historical study. One of the things that I do here on the Meat and Potato Show is I have to do an intense amount of research in order to say what I have to say and do what I have to do. My blog sites, everything has to be researched. I've got 3 books I'm reading right now. I read about 3 books every 3 or 4 months. And so I've gone through diaries, historical references. I have to do this not only because I want to educate myself, but because I have to do this for the show. This brings me back to what I just asked you a second ago about, the teacher doesn't want to hear this. My crew is going to roll their eyes back. You ever see the movie Interstellar?
Oh, God.
There's a scene in the movie. No, they're rolling their eyes back.
It was a good movie.
There's a scene in the movie, in Interstellar, where Matthew McConaughey has to go into a parent-teacher conference. And the teacher is saying, yeah, your daughter brought this book in. It's like, he says, oh yeah, that's my old book from when I was in NASA and doing my aerospace. And then there's this whole thing where she got in a fight because she was talking about the moon landing. And then she had to go into, well, we gave the students the corrected version. And Matthew McConaughey he has that moment where he says, the corrected version? See, this is Common Core 10 years from now, where we teach our children, oh yeah, well, that we faked the moon landing. Well, it was because we bankrupted the Soviet Union. This rewriting of our history. This is why, gets me back to what I said about my child. It's in my children. It's like, I'd look at their stuff and I'd say, no, this isn't, no, this isn't what happened. And then they would say to me, the scene in Interstellar is Common Core 10 years from now. We're already in it right now. We're already rewriting our history. We're already reteaching our children this anti-American, America's this hateful country, yada yada. You know where I'm going here, Kathy. Take it from me.
Absolutely. If you go on our website, again, www.nyunited4kids.com, there is a interview that we did with Larry Krieger and Jane Robbins. Larry Krieger has done extensive research in history. He's written many books. When he looked at the Common Core architect David Coleman, Advanced Placement U.S. History, he had cause for alarm. What he had discovered was that the College Board, in 2014's version of their AP U.S. History, the curriculum framework won't mention Patrick Henry, Thomas Jefferson,
Right.
Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Valley Forge, James Madison. Let's see, what documents did he write in the Founding Fathers? John Paul Jones, Andrew Jackson, the Gettysburg Address, Underground Railroad, General Pershing, Theodore Roosevelt, General Eisenhower, General MacArthur, D-Day, Adolf Hitler, the Holocaust, Rosa Parks, and Martin Luther King. But instead, what they will be teaching you would be Zambo, Juan de Spolaveda, Bartolomé de las Casas, Juan de Onante, the Beaver Wars, the Chickasaw Wars, the Huron Confederacy, Pontiac's Rebellion, Chief Little Turtle, the Battle of Fallen Timbers, Lydia Maria Child, Hiram Revels, Mother Jones, Las Gordas Blancas, Luisa Morena, Students for a Democratic Society, the Black Panthers. You probably have heard that the 2014 GED aligned to the Common Core. It tells that the American foreign aid, caused poor Afghans to fly into the World Trade Center on September 11th, and then it was very popular. There was another article out in California, the 8th grade Common Core social studies students, they were asked to decide whether or not the Holocaust actually occurred.
Okay, let me stop you there. Now listen, I would actually say that many of those things that you just mentioned are actual opinions or maybe even events that happened in history. Of course, I completely agree. These are things that should not be taught to young children. What should be taught to young children is simple ABCs, arithmetic, math, science, yada yada. Get them functional for our society. Let them, when they get older, like I did, figure that out for themselves. Let them explore that. Wait a minute, I have a question on this. Well, here are some books. Here's a library. Here's some stuff on the internet. You go explore that. Go figure it out for yourself. Right now, when you're 5, 9, 8, 10, 12, all you need to know is the basics, ABCs, RMCs, you know what I'm saying. That's all you need to know. Stop with this indoctrination shit. And isn't that what Common Core is? It's an indoctrination shit.
People have that opinion. What I tell people is, look at the facts yourself, look at what's being taught. I am of the thought that education should be the enlightenment of a child, and anything we can do to help that child to become that best best child possibly can be, not to become a widget in a workforce. So let the child decide what the child wants to be, along with the parents and the teachers helping and guiding the child to grow into, what the child's supposed to be in life. However, Common Core, as I mentioned before, the standards, when you're trying to make everybody the same, you're actually lowering them, and their opportunities are being missed. And as I said, the people on the top are being cut out. I really believe that the early ages, they shouldn't have all the stress with all this over testing, that they should be able to blow bubbles, not fill in bubbles. As far as, what they are learning, allow for experiential learning and let them be able to be developed. But in this particular program, what they've done is taken programs available and that were supposed to be for the higher grades, and they flipped them and they applied it to the younger grades. So there's a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and these children are spending so much time learning rather than playing in the playground. And you learn when you play in the playground.
Right. And even when you're in the playground, there's all sorts of politically correct rules that you're not supposed to do this. Oh, everyone wear helmets. Everyone be safe. Oh, no, you're not supposed to play tag because that's too aggressive. Oh, God, it's out of control. I completely agree with you, Kathy. Is that, let the children, oh, my God. See, you're younger than me, Kathy. I have gray hair. I'm an old man. When we were kids, and I did that with my kids. Yeah, go outside. Go outside and play. Just go do stuff. Just get dirty. This is what children are supposed to do. They're supposed to explore and cut their hands and get dirty and maybe get sick and just be children and explore and learn. That's what they're supposed to do. We live in a society today where everything is capsulized, compartmentalized, everything is regimented. Helmets on children in the park riding scooters, and it's really, really crazy. And now we have Common Core, which is just, I'm sorry, my phone is
That sounds like our end time now.
No, that's not our end time. No. What I'm saying is that our children are all compartmentalized now, and everything is so regimented. What does this bode for the future of our children? What do we see are we seeing what I said in Interstellar, is that our children are going to be given a corrected version? Are we seeing that 10 years from now?
Well, again, you've seen firsthand as a parent what's in the curriculum. There are examples all across the United States. We definitely recommend to share them with other people. You can go on Pinterest and share your examples. There are questions as to what philosophies and ideologies are being taught to our children. And I really believe as a parent, you have your parental rights, and we don't want one federal school board. Learning is best when it's closest to the home, where the people who understand the child the best can help the child grow and develop and help them learn. That would include the parent and the teacher. We need to have bridges to the school, and we need to have local control restored. If we continue down this path, we're not going to have the American exceptionalism that you and I know that this country has been known for. We've put men on the moon, we've sailed around the world, we've had major cures, major technological advances. However, this program, it seeks to have a commonality and to take away local control. But I believe that we can continue to look to fully withdraw each and every state from the Common Core, because our kids are not common and they deserve better than common.
Very good. Catherine, last question. Should this take hold, God forbid, should this happen, Should this become the paradigm of the future United States? What do you predict? What do you see?
Well, I'm a woman of hope and I'm a woman of great faith. And as I said, the truth is like a lion, let it loose and it'll defend itself. This will not continue. There are plenty enough people who have made a stand. We just saw news that Tennessee made a great, tremendous pushback. We have more challenging states like the vampire state of New York, which used to be known as the Empire State. A lot of people throughout New York State pushing back, a lot of concerned teachers, even though they're given gag orders not to come out to like forums to learn the truth with people like Dr. Dupesta or Dr. Peg Luxick, they're starting to see that these children need help and that we all need to band together. So I'm going to answer your question to say that we are saved by hope, and the hope that we'll all continue on the journey, the adventure of our life to restore local control, and our children are worth it.
I think that because of the outcry and the exposure of all of this, I think it's going to die a natural death. I think the liberals, the government is going to try to push it, but I think it's just going to end up being like practically everything else that we see. It's going to be debated in Congress, debated in the states, debated in the local cities and towns, and people are going to be like, and they're just going to say, screw it, and they're just, it's gonna die a natural death. That's what I think.
Well, I'm going to say in closing and thank you for the opportunity to reach out to Mormon audience and to thank your staff and also Dr. Dupesta. I know that he's coming to New York and I plan on seeing him Monday, April 27th. He will be in Colony, which is just near Albany, I believe on Wolf's Road. I think it's a Marriott. So I'll be seeing him then. We also have Dr. Peg Luxick coming to Nassau County in East Meadow, New York, and that's on the 28th at 7:15. P.m. at the Polish National Catholic Church in East Meadow, and our website has information on that. Also, I know a man that follows another topic that people say has some kind of a relation to the Common Core, is a man by the name of Tom.
Oh.
What just happened?
Oh.
Hit the plug. Reset the.
No, never mind. Oh, look at us. So anyway, we just lost Dr. Sapeta. But thank you, Dr. Sapeta, for coming in from New York Guardians.
Call her real quick.
So, thank you so much. So we will be talking to her again, hopefully, on the Meat and Potato Show, Conservative Talk, and Awesome Rock.